Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wassalam, once said, the main purpose of Jalsa was that the members of our Jamaat should bring about a pious change in them by meeting me and their hearts turn completely to the next world. They should cultivate fear of God in them. They should become a model for others in taqwa, love of God, tender heart, piety, mutual love and brotherhood. They should develop humility and modesty and truthfulness in themselves and should strive for religious adventures. Reviewers, indeed, this Jalsa Salana, which was initiated by the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wassalam, the holy founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, creates an atmosphere which is rich in spirituality and shows brotherhood and unity in a unique way and is a platform for practical reformation. Now, in order to strive and better ourselves, one needs to conduct an honest self-analysis. And in this matter, our beloved Imam, Hazrat Amir al-Mu'mineen, Khalifa al-Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadullah ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, in many recent Friday sermons, has advised us on how to do this self-analysis and how this leads to practical reformation or self-reformation. Now, for a discussion on the topic of self-reformation in light of the divine advices of Hazrat Khalifa al-Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadullah ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, I am extremely honored to be joined here in our studios by the esteemed panel of guests. I would like to introduce from the right hand side, firstly, Muhtaram Lal Khan Malik Sahib, who is the Amir Jamaat of Canada. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much for being here. And I'm also joined by Murabi al-Silsila Muhtaram Chaudhry Sahib, who is the missionary in charge of Bangladesh. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much for calling us.
Now, I would like directly start get into the discussion. Firstly, with a core question, a very important question. What was the purpose of the advent of the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wassalam? Murabi Sahib.
Thank you. Well, if I want to be very brief on that, Hazrat Aqdas Masih Maud Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, the promised Messiah alayhi salam, has himself addressed these questions very briefly once. He was asked, what is the purpose of your advent? He said, taake log iman mein tarakki karen. The sole purpose of my advent is to cultivate the basis of, to revive the faith of the Muslims as a whole, and to tell them there is a living God, and to create a living relationship in between man and his creator. This is one aspect of his advent. He has very clearly mentioned to revive the dying faith. That is the important purpose of his advent. And then in Al-Wasiyat he has said, one of the main purposes of my advent is to accumulate all the noble souls of the world, whether he lives in the east or in the west. They should come together, and unitedly they should raise a spiritual movement and a spiritual revolution in the world. That is the purpose of my advent. And then he has also said that the purpose of my advent is, in brief, two types. Number one, the relation between man and God should become perfect and absolutely correct. And the other side of the purpose of my advent is to have correct relations between man and man. So to rectify the relationship between man and God and man. So these are the purposes he has himself mentioned and clearly clarified.
And for that, the self-reformation is very important. That was emphasized.
This is what is required by the human beings right now. The whole humankind is suffering from lack of these relationships.
Right. So the reformation of belief and the reformation of practice. Amir Sahib, in light of the blessed instructions of Hazrat Amir al-Mu'mineen Khalifa al-Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadullah ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, what endeavors should one undertake in order to reform oneself, to do a self-reformation?
Yeah. We have just heard some of the points of advent of the promised Messiah Islam in his own words. Our self-analysis should tell us whether that purpose has been achieved in our individual lives or not. The purpose as far as the community is concerned has been achieved, but what about each one of us?
Right.
Has it been achieved in our lives or not? And Sayyidina Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Ayatollah bin Asl Aziz has been telling us what are the various ways in which we would be having that purpose fulfilled in our lives. For example, the connection between man and his creator. The best way of connecting with God is to elevate the level of our worship. And in our formal worship, 5 daily prayers are the most important parts. No spiritual journey can be imagined without being regular in our 5 daily prayers. And emphasizing this point, Sayyidina Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Ayatollah bin Asl Aziz has been emphasizing that the office bearers of the Jamaat should become models for the other members of the Jamaat. And Huzur said that if the office bearers of the Jamaat become regular, 70% of the homes in the Jamaat would be at the level which would become a good model for the other members of the Jamaat. Then Huzur has indicated that one of the ways of achieving this would be the constant reminder which we get through MTA. And Huzur has mentioned that there is a trend that gradually less and less people are now watching the MTA programs.
Right.
Some would say that we watch it on internet.
Right.
For internet, you would plan it when you are not using the internet for any other purpose. For this purpose, I feel that every Ahmadi home should have a dedicated TV monitor which is dedicated to MTA only, so that whenever an important program is playing on MTA, we know about it and we would watch it only when we know about it.
Right.
So I feel that being connected with the Khalifa of the time, it is essential for our spiritual reformation, and for that purpose MTA is playing a very important part.
So talking about that topic of MTA and the importance of MTA, now Hazur Anwar mentioned in his Friday sermon, evil spreads faster than virtue, meaning that there are certain things like social media and others which hinder us, especially those who live in the Western society like Europe or Canada. How can we keep away from those worldly influences?
One of the ways would be that as we would increase the time of watching the MTA, so would we reduce the time we spend on other social media. And also that as we watch MTA, our taste for MTA programs would be gradually increased. Previously, we used to have very basic quality programs, but by grace of Allah, MTA has improved a lot. And now many people do not realize in the Jamaat that the general quality of almost all the programs of MTA has considerably improved. So there is a need once again to turn to MTA programming as we used to have in the beginning. That excitement has subsided, and Huzur has cautioned us that MTA remains the most important source of our moral and spiritual training, and there is no alternate to it. So we should be jealously availing this opportunity available to us, and there should be constant reminders in the Jamaat. In Canada Jamaat, we have started a campaign that we are discussing this subject in every Jamaat, in every meeting, that we have to watch MTA programming, not only the sermons but also the other programs of Sayyidina Hazrat Khalifatul Masih and the other programs of various types. And this can be possible only that a dedicated monitor dedicated to MTA is available in our home, so that the lady of the house, the children and the head of the family, when they are home, they know what programs are coming, and if they are of their interest, they would watch.
Now, you've talked about the purpose of the advent of the promised Messiah ﷺ, and Khilafat being the second most important institution within the Islam, giving us moral training. Now, In the last week's Friday sermon, our beloved Imam, Ahidullah Talab Nasr Aziz, very comprehensively spoke about the obedience towards Khilafat. So my question would be, what is the meaning of complete, unstinted obedience?
Well, this question needs to be addressed elaborately. Hazur is in Deutschland, that's Germany. This is a wonderful place to visit. And me personally, I become emotionally charged when I recall the sweet memories of Khan Sahib Maulvi Mubarak Ali Sahib of Bengal, who was posted as the first missionary over here, and I come from the same land. And more specifically, that my family embraced Ahmadiyyat because of Khan Sahib Maulvi Mubarak Ali Sahib of Bogra. And this country has attained such a height in the sight of Khalifa that he feels it as its own family, and that is why he keeps on pinpointing the weaknesses wherever it pops up. Now, he was addressing a German Jamaat apparently, but he was actually addressing the whole world as a whole, and Hazur wants the whole Jamaat to come to an understanding that this divine blessing of Khilafat is to unite you, not as a dictator, but as sweet, loving father. You don't mind your father telling you what to do and what not to do. Rather, it is the greatest blessing Allah has given you. You have a parent who guides you to the correct path, whatever is good for you. And then he prays for you. He cries for you in the sight of Allah that, oh my God, help them to purify themselves. And he keeps a constant watch on their health, spiritual health, and physical health as well, and the other needs he was mentioning when he was comparing dictatorship and Khilafat, that they don't have any match, they don't have any comparison whatsoever. And Khilafat is the divine blessing Allah has given to the Muslims after a big gap of 1300 plus years. Now, if we love Allah, if we love Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is the gift from them. So what do you do for that? At least show whatever you can as obedience, and this obedience needs your heartfelt sincerity. It's not a mechanical obedience he's asking for. The secret lies in loving the divine gift. Do you think what about the other Muslims, by the way, the general Muslims? They have everything. They have wealth, they have education, they have a lot of people, manpower, but are they comparable with Ahmadis? They can't. Why not? Because of this spiritual guardianship, and that is Khilafat. So Hazur was saying that, O Ahmadis, if Allah has bestowed this Khilafat to you, this is your turn to show whatever you can as sincerity and obedience towards Khilafat, the institution of Khilafat. This is one side of the sermon I have understood. Yes. And then he wants you to excel, I mean the whole Jamaat to excel in obedience. Definitely Hazur knows the standard of obedience we already have in the whole Jamaat in general, but he wants more, and the excellence should be always a big target, a high target, so that we keep on running towards achieving it. So that is what I understood from that sermon last Friday. But even this khutbah just we heard 2 hours back, that also contained the message of purification. Oh my Jamaat, if you are attending the divine institution of Jalsa, then remember the main purpose and sole purpose of Jalsa. To have a strong bondage with you and your God, between you and your God, and then try to use the best of the 3 days to purify yourself, and then don't lose it here and keep it here. Take it home and continue to strive in the same manner for the rest of the days.
Not everyone is graced with the blessed presence, with the physical presence of the Khalifa, but there's still deep love and affection for the institution of Khilafat. Now, for example, in Bangladesh, how is it possible to pass on the true meaning of Khilafat, the perception of and the importance of the institution of Khilafat? How can you convey this to the people in Bangladesh who do not have the physical appearance of Hazur Akhtar's grace upon them?
Khalifa, the word Khalifa is very significant. He represents the spirituality of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salam. Khalifatul Masih. And that Messiah was sent by God. And the one who is sent by God is supported by God. He constantly sends angels. Spiritual powers are working to call people towards goodness and Khilafat. So it's not essential that Huzur and Khalifa has to be present everywhere physically, though he wants it and we want him to be there.
Of course.
But there are so many obstacles in the ways. But how Allah mysteriously works on this, there are thousands and hundreds and thousands of people who are saying that I haven't met the Khalifa ever, but I feel him deep inside me. I know he loves me and he prays for me and it is working like a magic. I was coming from Bangladesh 4 days ago or 5 days ago. Before that, a person, he said that I requested my Khalifa Huzur to pray for my children that they get admission in a very good school, which Huzur himself suggested. And miraculously, within 4 days of that sending letter, after sending the application, maybe Huzur hasn't received it yet or read it yet, but Allah knew that his Khalifa has to pray. So my daughter, she got admitted in a wonderful college and in a school I wanted. So this is something divine. The one who is not attached with Khilafat, or he or she is not aware of what type of divine blessing we are talking about, it's hard for him or her to understand what we are discussing here.
Amir Sahib, the Justice Salana is a unique platform which shows brotherhood and sisterhood. And how can one, how does this affect the Jamaat in terms of personal reformation, this unity?
Justice Salana institution has developed into a refresher course for the Jamaat around the world. Every year we have an opportunity of assembling together and listening to various speeches, presentations, and this gives us an opportunity of analyzing our lives, where we are short, where we have to come up. And the various purposes which the promised Messiah Islam has mentioned for the Jalsa Salana, they make it so important that this institution has now become a part of Ahmadi's life.
Right.
And it's a pity that in Pakistan the Ahmadis are deprived of this, this spiritual rejuvenation which we are enjoying today in Germany. I would like to add a comment to the obedience to Khilafat which was just mentioned. Where the Holy Quran mentions Khilafat, 4 verses before it mentions obedience. And the high level of obedience which the Holy Quran presents is noteworthy. We should pay attention to it. The Holy Quran doesn't say that when you receive an instruction, you obey. It says that the level of obedience of believers is that they say, Samena wa atana. We hear and we obey. What is the meaning of we hear? It means that our obedience is not obedience of compulsion. It is obedience of pleasure. It's obedience of anticipation. It's obedience because we want to obey. And for this purpose, Samena also means that we are in waiting. We are waiting to listen. So it's not that when our Khalifatul Masih would say something and the instruction would reach us, we would obey. We would be in wait. We would be on the lookout. When is the Khalifa going to talk to us, and so that we can obey him? So this brings me again to the topic of listening to MTA, because MTA provides us an opportunity to be always on the lookout. When is the Khalifa talking to us? And so that whenever he talks to us, we listen to it and we obey. So I feel that this Jalsa Salana, when Sayyidina Hazrat Khalifatul Masih is present among us, gives us an opportunity of reviving our faith, and the blessings of Jalsa Salana are manifold when the Khalifa of the time is also present. And we feel very lucky being here, traveling from Canada to participate in Jalsa Salana, Germany, in such good environment. It makes me feel very happy.
So we all have to feel very joyful and happy. Hazrat Anwar mentioned the fact that in Pakistan the circumstances don't allow them to conduct a Jalsa Salana. The more lucky we feel ourselves, and to have our beloved Imam here makes it almost perfect. So Maulvi Sahib, if a guest of the Jalsa Salana, if a non-Ahmadi brother would ask how the Jalsa Salana can attest the truth of the promised Messiah, how would one respond to that?
Well, in 1891, when Hazrat Aqdas Masih Maud Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, the promised Messiah alayhi salam, he initiated this institution of Jalsa Salana, the total attendance was 75. And at that time there was no institutional way of collecting alms and chandas for this purpose. And he personally made arrangements for the finance and the monetary support which was required. And he said, listen, this is not from my own will. Allah has instructed me to do this, and so it will grow. And people from different nations will come and join this. And Allah has made it a program, and you will see it. A person who is not known to his own province of Punjab even, at that time he's prophesying that this will take place, and it is taking place. Every single Jalsa Salana which takes place anywhere in the world, maybe it's in the national level, maybe it's in the regional level, maybe it's in the local level of villages as far as we are concerned. Every single Jalsa Salana is a proof of the truth of promised Messiah alayhi salam. He said it will happen, and it has happened. We stand witness that he was a true reformer from God. Otherwise these prophecies would not ever have been fulfilled. Allah does not make a person who is not from him truthful one, never proves that, never supports him. This very prophecy regarding the success of the institution of Jalsa Salana is a very powerful proof on the truth of Hazrat Masih Maud Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wassalam. In brief, I think that should suffice.
Jazakumullah. Time is running, and we have to move to our next segment. Still, one question arose to my mind. We talked about the impact of Jalsa Salana. Now, in this Western society, this beautiful atmosphere of spirituality, as Khalifa Sani, second Khalifa of the Muslim Jamaat, as Yona said, there can be no reformation of the country unless the youth is being reformed. How do you see the impact on the youth through this Jalsa Salana, through this spirituality? For example, speaking of Canada.
The major part of the organization of Jalsa Salana is run by the volunteer duties of youth. I see the youth all around. In this age, the youth are interested in many other activities. Jalsa Salana provides them a very interesting opportunity for devoting their time to the service of the community. They meet various people from all parts of Germany and from other countries. This provides them such a bond for the purpose for which the Jamaat was established, that they get more attached to it. Any khadim, any youth who has worked in Jalsa Salana, when he returns with the higher level of faith and the truthfulness of the promised Messiah Islam, his more love for the Khalifa of the time, and he is richer in spirituality when he returns home after such a duty.
Right. So, about once again the Jalsa Salana, how can we keep this spirituality, this high level of spirituality throughout the whole year? It is a task for every Ahmadi Muslim.
Then one should avail all the moments of Jalsa Salana properly. There are certain moments when a person is gifted by God to talk to him personally. One should wait for that moment eagerly during the Jalsa Salana days. I stand witness very humbly in 1982 when Khalifa Rabi was addressing the first Jalsa Salana after being elected to the position of Khalifa. And it was around Maghrib was over and Huzur was speaking on a very vital subject of justice.
Right.
And after around 4 hours he said, oh, it's already late, but I was under the impression that I should continue it for some more time. This is my time, this is our time, let's talk Allah and Rasul and Islam. Now, the tilawat, the nazams, the congregation prayers is so so much charged that as a young boy I can remember that these were the moments which gave me the life inside. And the next year as well, 1983, I remember the largest congregation of Jalsa Salana in Rabwa. That made the mullahs very worried that Pakistan is going to be taken over by Ahmadis, if not stopped now. So those are the attractive moments. I've seen people crying, weeping, remembering Allah and His blessings. Now, say for example, if a young man, he tries to attain that very moment, he can pray that, oh Allah, in this big congregation, there must be someone who is calling you very eagerly and you are listening to him. I beg of you that accept my prayers because of him. Maybe Allah will listen to you. Why not? Allah is waiting to listen to you. So once you are granted that special moment, you carry it home and recall Allah, oh my God, you have given me a sign of your love. So let it grow. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi has said, Khalifatul Masih Khamis has said, all the Khalifas have been saying that Allah never leaves your heart if you are not pushing Him out of yourself. He stays there. He wants to be there, but if it is you who intends to keep Him inside. So once you let Allah in, He will never leave you for the whole life.
Now, coming back to the Reformation and the duty of the office holders, so that they have to be a model, an example for the Jamaat. What work has been done in Canada specifically to promote this and this matter of self-reformation? Hazur once Aidul Talib bin Aziz pointed out that, explained that they need to formulate programs. What has been done in this matter?
In Canada, we have been carrying out this instruction of Sayyidina Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Aidul Talib bin Aziz by emphasizing that the office bearers offer at least 2 prayers in congregation in the mosque near their residence, Namaz-e-Fajr and Isha Namaz. Because at other times one may be busy, but most of the people are home at Fajr time and most of them are home in Isha time. If they offer prayer in congregation during these times and they are not able to offer during their work time, Allah would consider that they are regular in all their prayers. We are emphasizing that the office bearers become model in these 2, and when the office bearers would be regular, it would have a greater impact on the other members of the Jamaat, and they would also become regular.
Jazakumullah, time is running. The next segment is about to start with our transmission. Thank you very much for being here for this lively and scholarly discussion. Jazakumullah wa ahsanul jazaa. Now, dear viewers, we have to end our talk. May this Jalsa Salana bring a pious change in all of us. May Allah enable us that we truly understand, that we better ourselves and truly understand what it means to be believers of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what it means to believe in the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wassalam, and may He enable us that we fully show obedience to any instructions of our beloved Imam, because it is this institution which is incomparable. There is no other institution which is comparable to the Nizam Khilafat, and it is our source of reformation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.